Hello, everyone. It is Thursday. It is not Saturday.
I've lost a few days.
Clearly, we are not at home, and we've been up since 3:30 a.m. So we are in Palm Springs at Thermal horse showing this weekend. We have Luigi and Harvey and Ralph here. Harvey's going to be doing the Grand Prix in the CDI. Luigi's going to be doing 4th level. Ralph's going to be doing second level. So that's why we're here this weekend. I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about groundwork, obviously. I did that groundwork webinar on Sunday. So if you haven't had a chance yet to watch the replay, be sure to watch the replay. And join Groundwork Essentials. So my groundwork course is closing on Sunday. So there's just a few days left to join Groundwork Essentials. Why is groundwork important?
It helps the lines of communication between you and your horse. Keeps you safe in some instances, helps horses relax in other instances, helps them refocus in other instances. And you name it, it can help you.
So speaking of this morning, we got to the barn at 4 a.m. We had to load 3 horses in the dark. That is why groundwork is important. And it's really important that you do groundwork in the comfort zone. Like you need to be doing little bits of groundwork all the time, like making your horse stop, making your horse back up, making sure that they really mind you before it's 3 a.m. and you need to load your horse in the horse trailer.
By way of example, when I was at the show grounds today, and there was one horse that was standing up and rearing and spinning around the handler. And there was another one who the guy was walking, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 yards, and he'd stop, put the horse's head down, back up a step, and then walk a little bit longer. And he would stop and put the horse's head down. And that horse was totally relaxed and really tuned in.
Yeah.
The guy who had the horse that was spinning and rearing around him, that went on and on and on and on and on.
Yes.
He did not have a plan. He did not have a groundwork plan. And that horse just carried on.
Right. But when you get to the horse show, it's kind of too late. When your horse is panicking, when your horse is spooked, when your horse is in a new environment, that's not the best time to teach them something
but
new.
If you've already taught it to them at home, then they know the principles and then it will work because the horse already knows it. You're not going to teach it to them once they've got the adrenaline pumping and not all that. But if they know it ahead of time, when you do it, it'll have the effect you want.
Yeah. But that's also why, I had Herman, one of the horses, a little difficult to load. So we practiced it at home yesterday.
In the daylight.
In the daylight when there was no time pressure. So that this morning at 4 a.m., we knew that we could load the horses. And it's just like...
And yesterday it took me 4 tries, and today was the 2nd try.
But it's just about being smart, and that's one thing... For those of you that have already joined Groundwork Essentials, that I really show you, these are the 7 exercises that you need to do with your horse every single day. It doesn't take that long. It's just like checking in with your horse, doing little things, making sure they're focused and paying attention to you so that you can avoid them spinning and running around you, because that's not fun. And the other thing is it's winter. It is so dark outside. It started raining here already. And so what happens during winter is that it's much more difficult to stay consistent in your riding. And so when your horse has a chunk of time off, or it's cold or it's dark, that's when you need these groundwork skills so that you have something to fall back on when you don't want to just hop on, because you don't want to get
because your horse may be a bit fresh.
Yes, your horse may be a bit fresh. So anyways, let me see. What else is on my list? Do you have more groundwork tips?
Yeah.
I do.
I was trying to see because you couldn't find the questions earlier.
I found them. But yes, if anyone has questions that's watching here live. Okay. Yes, we talked about all of that. Okay, here's another important thing with training horses, which is that you have to be very consistent and clear with your aids all the time. So it's really, really important. Like when you're at home and your horse isn't panicking and they're not spooking and they're pretty chill, you still have to make sure that they stop when you stop, that you can put their head down, that you can back them up. And I think that's something that a lot of people forget because we love our horses and we want to cuddle with them and enjoy them.
And then I start taking some shortcuts.
Yes. But it's also one of those things. How does this saying go? You have to know the rule.
And then you can break the
And
rule.
then you can break the rule.
You have to be a master of the rules. And then you
Yeah.
can, because what's the difference between a rule and a law? Rules were meant to be broken.
But I think
some things are law, like, your horse can never crowd your space.
Yes.
Take a treat from my hand. Well, depends on the horse.
Depends on the horse.
As a general rule, it's never a good idea if you're going to have to make a general blanket statement, because you just don't know that particular horse. But on some horses, you give them some treats by the hand, they don't care. There's no fault.
Yeah.
There's no.
But I also think when you have a new horse or a young horse, that's where
better
rules
to be safe.
Are really, really important. And then if you have a horse that, you've had it for 10 years and it's very safe and you can do everything. And then, sometimes you can be a little bit more lenient. But the thing is that horses' natural instinct, which is to like spook and protect themselves and run away, that's never going to go out of them. And so you always have to know that when they have that moment of being scared, that then you can get them to come back to you through the aids that we train them.
Because that fear, they don't hold on to it like we do. It's just a moment.
Yeah.
So you can get them back. We sit around and go, oh my God, what could happen? And I don't know. And maybe in the future. And horses don't do that. They're afraid in the moment. And then if you're there, they're like, oh, we're back. Look, grass. Okay, I'll eat. Yeah. So it's us, really.
Yeah. The other thing with all of training horses that I've been thinking about a lot lately is that we really want to train our horses to respond to like the lightest, softest aid possible. And this for sure applies to your groundwork as well. We were listening to this webinar with an animal behaviorist about classical conditioning. And so basically, like leading your horse, for example, what we would like to happen is that when you start walking, your horse starts walking. We don't even want to have to pull on our horses. So that's like the goal, is that your horse is just following your body language, that they go when you go, that they stop when you stop, that they back up when you back up. So even if you're like, hey, Amelia, like my horse leads fine, like I don't need to worry about it. But how refined can you make that? And that really is the beauty of horsemanship, is when they're just reading you and following you.
They're all tuned into you.
Yeah. And same thing when you're riding, you don't want to have to like be giving these big kicking and whipping. It should be small, soft, subtle aids to get your horse responsive to you. So that's my pep talk for tonight. The other thing with groundwork, and I think we both agree on this, is simple, practical, and effective.
Oh, yeah.
So
stuff of life that.
A lot of people spend like hours and hours just lunging their horse around and around and playing all these games with their horse. And everything that I do with my horses on the ground has a purpose and a reason. And I would rather ride, absolutely. So I try to just make every moment that I spend with my horse on the ground meaningful. I make sure that I'm clear with my boundaries and I have clear expectations for them. And then I move on. I don't like belabor the point and go on and on and on.
Yeah. I mean, horses also, they have an innate sense of fairness. So, I mean, when you go on and on and on and on, you've lost the point.
Yeah.
Or the horse has lost the point.
Yeah.
I mean, the trick is to teach them something, not make them so tired they don't misbehave.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our spiel on groundwork. If you want to join Groundwork Essentials,
Sunday's
the last day.
4 days.
Yes, and we are doing an orientation call Monday evening. So inside the course, one of the benefits is you can send in your videos and we'll watch them and review them. Well, I will. I don't know about Herman, but
depends on the day.
But especially when you're first learning groundwork, it can feel really awkward to figure out like where to put your hands and how to actually get your horse to respond to you and get out of your space. So we go through a lot of that, and we're definitely here to help you for those of you who've already signed up, which is fantastic. A couple of questions. Louise has a question. The best exercise for the engagement of the back and the hind end. Best hind end engagement exercise.
Rainbback?
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, it's the simplest thing. You can do that from the ground, you know. And I do that when I've got horses that are wanting to run off, halt, take a step back, and come out of that one step into a trot.
The beauty of Rainbback is that you can do it from the ground, and you should teach it from the ground first, because Rainbback is one of those movements that for horses,
not very natural.
Yeah, since they're flight animals, they're like, why would I go backwards? And also to really get them to engage and lift up their back, that's easier to do from the ground because they don't have to lift the weight of you on their back. So,
and the Rainbback just makes the pelvis rotate. I mean, they just have to get that rounder to be able to take the step back. So,
okay, here's another groundwork question. When doing groundwork and bringing the head around to the girth, do you ask for a little head down first and then over? Good question. So pretty much in training, you always want to do the opposite of what your horse wants to do. So if they're really high-headed, you want to put their head down. If you have a horse, like when you're riding it, that just like puts their head too low, you want to bring it up. So if your horse is high-headed, then yes. Do you agree?
Yes. So, but in a general way, yes, always, because there's a bit of submission that happens when they drop their head. So in a general way, always, yes.
Dana says, will you make a third level video?
Well, I'm not, what do you mean? Will I
okay,
make a
so
third
we've, you know, Herman is the drone flyer in the family, by the way. He flies the drone, and everyone loves the test views where I ride the test and you can see it from above. And we have not done third level yet. So third level and
we'll put it on the list.
Level are definitely on the list because
we'll put them on the list.
Yeah, I know those are people's favorites. All right, let's see if there's any other questions in the chat. Let's see. Groundwork is great, especially with weather changes. Doesn't burn calories though. What's your view on lunge work?
Oh, lunging is good.
Yeah. Lunging is good, but again, it needs to be done thoughtfully with a purpose.
Right. You want to make transitions, get your horse on the bit.
You want your horse to go on the lunge line like you want them to go when you're riding them. So if they're
not 90 miles an hour.
Right. Counter cantering, counter bent, ripping around, that's not good for your horse's body or mind. And so that's why it's important, like before I start even lunging my horses, I make sure that they can lower their head, that they can bend, all of those things before you start lunging. So they're not just like going bonsai.
Right. Bonsai is not good.
And the other thing I will say is that walking your horse is a really good form of fitness for your horses. So like brisk hand walking or like lots of walking is a really good way to get your horses fit. And yes, maybe it doesn't burn as many calories, but it
still
does.
Keeps them.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Lee says, my horse was traumatized by pigs that broke into our fields. He ran through a fence and took out 4 posts. Oh my gosh. Now he generalizes this experience with everything we do anywhere we go. Yikes.
Yep. That certainly can happen. And you really got to back it way back and start all over.
But I think
because he's going to get, he's going to be overstimulated with so little now.
Yeah, but the best thing, like when your horse is unreasonably scared, like if you take your horse, like, okay, pigs getting loose into the field, that is reasonable for your horse to freak out. Like there's no question about that.
Right, because
pigs are like
they're predators.
Predators, yeah. But when you're holding on to your horse, like for example, if I'm like Harvey today, right? We're at the horse show and these big giant trucks go like pretty fast at the facility behind him. And he puts his head up and he starts getting all scared. And the first thing I do is I put my hand on the halter and I say, hey, put your head down, stop, back up. So I take control of his panic situation. I don't just let him panic. I say, yep, I see the truck. That's scary. Here's what you need to do. And so same thing, like finding ways to assert yourself to give your horse confidence regardless of the situation. I think that's what I would go back to is like, just because your horse has had this traumatic thing happen, put them on the halter, do the groundwork, make them back up, because that's going to give your horse security. If you're just like, oh my gosh, you're traumatized, I'm sorry.
Right. That you can't do.
Yeah. That's not going to be super helpful.
You got to always be the leader.
Okay. There's another question. Preparation for a successful trot to canter transition. Is there a video for that? Yes.
Yes. There are many of those. We've done.
But how should we prepare for a successful trot canter situation?
I like, do trot walk 3 or 4 times on a circle. Make sure your trot is energetic and then apply the canter aid.
And make sure your horse is bending.
Hence the circle.
Yes. Okay. Side reins. What do you think of side reins?
When I'm lunging, I'm okay.
Yes.
Now, as I say side reins, I know people get all excited. I don't mean take the horse's nose and stick it on its chest. Just, nose slightly in front of the vertical, just like when you ride them.
So yeah, because side reins do help to teach your horse to accept the contact. But again, you want to make sure you have the fundamentals first. Like you need to teach your horse to give to the bending pressure of the bit, to put their head down. You don't want to just
strap them up,
get
like
them
a
out of the
Thanksgiving
field.
Day turkey.
Yeah, because they can, I had a horse one time. I did the groundwork with her and I put the side reins on and she went running backwards and she got scared and I was really scared. It was really traumatic for everyone involved. So, and if
your horse is absolutely totally green about it, you just make them super long.
Yeah.
And little by little, you just add to that.
Yeah. But I think side reins are better than just letting your horse
wildly run. I mean, that's when horses get hurt.
Yes.
Things are out of control. Someone's getting hurt, generally the horse.
Yeah. So anyways, I think we're going to go to bed. No, I'm going to go to the barn. I'm going to go back to the barn, check on the horses.
And then we'll go to bed.
Then we'll go to bed. And hopefully tomorrow's schedule works out. We have a little bit all of the horses go
all
at
the same
2 o'clock.
All within an hour. It's just way too much.
Yeah. So hopefully we're going to resolve that. And I always love coming to horse shows. I love spending the time with the horses. It's a beautiful facility. The footing's really good. Harvey was really good today. So we're just going to have fun and enjoy our horses. And I'll put the link in the chat here for anyone who's interested in the groundwork course. Again, I think that groundwork is something that's so important and sometimes forgotten in what we do with our horses, but we spend a lot of time with them on the ground. So anyways, Herman's watching football over there in the corner.
The corner of my eye. People were screaming and yelling, making a scene.
All right. Good night, everyone. Bye. Are you going to say goodbye?